reason. Like I said, it's easy to look at the wing and see the Hatte's cell. There is no another fly that has it, and you could use the arista. And remember that only Sacrorapha have the arista, so that is money for them. Others have arista, but not that of Glossina, like I showed us last week. Maybe. This is the hatchet cell you can see in D. At this age, just showing the hypopygium in the male and the female, just for us to be able to differentiate. And I discuss why we need to separate them. This is the arista of Glossina, like I said. You can see that the arista is on the upper side and branching. We don't have it in any other insect. If you are talking of for Musca, like we say, Musca is on both sides, but there is no branching, like we say. These are the larvae and the pupae of Glossina. Like we discussed about Musca domestica. Musca is a member of Sacrorapha insect that does not suck blood, like we know. And that's why I said that if you say whether all Sacrorapha insects suck blood, is false, because there are members that will not suck blood. But you must also know that for those that suck blood, male and female Sacrorapha insects suck blood. When you are talking on Nematocera and Brachycera, it's only female that suck blood. But for Cyclorapha, both male and female suck blood. For those that suck blood, you must take note of that, like Glossina, Stomoxis, Liporrhea, or Hematobia. The male and female suck blood, even Hippobosca, male and female suck blood. Take note of that. Just showing Glossina. Musca domestica. And this is the mouth part. Like I say, most mouth part of Musca domestica is characteristic because of the spongy mouth part. That is the fleshy labella that it has. So you cannot miss it. Because of course it doesn't suck blood, but it can siphon liquid from surfaces. So this is just showing the various parts of the mouth part of Musca domestica. And I said Stomoxis and Liporrhea, they are very similar, like I said, to housefly, but the mouth part is not the same. Like I say, many people will say, I'm being bitten by the housefly. It is not true. I'm sure they were talking of Stomoxis because they resemble, except for the just check and know that it's for projecting non-retractile proboscis. Then you check the arista also. The arista here is only on the upper side. It's not branching. Glossina is the upper side of branching. So you take note of that. The only two they can confuse again now, like I say, is Hematobia, that is Liporrhea, and Stomoxis. But just look at the mouth part and the palp together. When you look at it, you'll be able to differentiate them. One, Liporrhea is a smaller insect. Secondly, Liporrhea has a long palp compared to the mouth part. So that one is settled. You don't have to confuse them. Now, we didn't talk about Hippobosca last week. That's Hippoboscidae. This family, Hippoboscidae, and that is why you have the Hippobosca, Pseudolynchia, and Melophagus. These are the three important members of this group. We are going to just talk briefly about them. For this Hippoboscidae, we have the head and the body are flattened dorsoventrally, while the abdomen segment is not just a single segment. It's not segment, it's just a single structure, and it's soft and leathery. In fact, I remember when we were in class with Professor Agbede, he used to even tease and say, look, he wants each student to hold this Hippobosca and see whether they can crush it. The point is that it's because of the leathery integument. It's difficult to crush. Although, like I say, some students will want to prove that they can crush it. They will carry something to try and crush it by force. But the point we're trying to make is that the leathery nature of this group makes them to be very hard, very difficult to crush. In addition, the legs are strong and bears some claws, which are toothed. An adult may have wing or may not have wing, depending on which one we are talking about. Ibobosca, of course, they are wing. Pseudolynchia canarensis, they are wing. While Malophagus or Vinus, they are not wing. So these are the three important members. Ibobosca equina is also known as the horse-cad. They are mostly yellowish to brown. They are wing, and the abdomen is it kind of elongated a little, because at times when you put them together, you may want to confuse it with the Pseudolynchia canarensis, which is the pigeon fly. Of course, when you go to pigeon houses, of course, you are going to see Pseudolynchia, so many, especially the immature pigeons. The young pigeons are the most preyed by the Pseudolynchia. We have done some work with, I think I had a master student who worked on this Pseudolynchia here in Zaria, and what the person did was to check for these flies in the pigeon houses, and went further to buy some of these pigeons. And of course, we're able to see the Hemoproteus columbae, which are the malaria of pigeon, that we were able to do that. So we have done one work on that, and we're able to see many of them in the pigeon houses. I think I can't remember the prevalence now, but certainly it's above 20%. So there you can find many of them. Melophago vine, of course, we don't have it here. Sheepcat, it's not around here, around the tribal countries. What it does is always on the animal, and it destroys the wool of the animal, because it's always there. Since it's not having wing, it's always on the animal, feeding and destroying the wool. So that is what it does. And also remember that this group, they are laviparous too, the way we have that of Glossina. Remember, in this group, we mentioned Glossina, that is laviparous, but Stomoxis and Musca and Liporacea, of course, they lay their eggs. So you must take note of those that are laviparous and those that lay their eggs. So Ibobosca, Pseudolynchia, they drop their larvae. This is just showing the Ibobosca. You can see the claws there. And you can see, if maybe it's not showing where, at times you see the waist, as if something that has waist. This is not showing that portion well. And it's not color, because this is more of picture. It's not a picture taken, so it's not showing the color. This is Pseudolynchia. If you look at Pseudolynchia very well and compare to this one, the abdominal segment is longer here compared to what we are seeing in Pseudolynchia. And see the claws there too, and suck a lot of blood. It causes a lot of problems, Pseudolynchia, with the young pigeons that are in the pigeon houses. So that we must also take note. This Melophagus, like I told you, Melophagus is not a problem for us here, because they are not, I don't want to say they are not there, but nobody has recorded them here. Since we don't even have most of these sheep with heavy wool, they are not there, but over there, they cause a lot of problems, destroy the wool, suck a lot of blood. You can see the pupae. Immediately, the larvae are dropped. They pupate. Immediately, they pupate. Whether on the animal there, they drop them and they pupate easily. So the pupa will be there for some days, depending on the temperature of the environment. Take some days, then the adult will come out of the puparium. You remember similar what we say in the case of Glossina. That one is dropped on the floor and immediately wriggle into the soil 2 to 5 centimeters and pupate also immediately. But it has to, in this case, it has to wriggle into the soil for it to pupate. I think for these ones, we don't have much problem with them. We want us to go to the next part of the Cyclorapha, which is the myiasis. I said we have problem on this one. I will move to myiasis. But I want us to finish this Cyclorapha today, so that we can move into something next week. Any comment or question or anything on this one so far before I move on? Can I proceed?
Yes, sir, you can proceed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll talk of myiasis. When we're talking of myiasis, we are still referring to under the Staphylococcus. And basically, like I can see, myiasis is just the infestation of live human and vertebrate animals with the larvae of diptera flies, which at least for a certain period feed on the host living necrotic or dead tissue, liquid body substances, or in the case of intestinal myiasis, they may feed on the host food material. There are a lot of what people have said so many things, especially the intestinal myiasis. Maybe when we get there, we'll talk more on that. Let me just leave that for now. Basically, there are other kind of divisions that how people divide this myiasis. People say maybe intestinal myiasis, dermal myiasis, furuncular myiasis. But in this case, I think the two basic divisions here is just the obligatory myiasis and the facultative myiasis. Of course, obligatory myiasis talked about the larvae that belong to this group rely exclusively on the living vertebrate for at least a certain part of their life cycle for them to be able to survive. What we're trying to say, for example, Ostrus ovis, for instance, it must pass through that stage in the human, or rather in the animals, or human. It could be human because there are some that are of zoonotic importance. So we mentioned, maybe when we come to that, we'll talk about a few that are of zoonotic importance. But the point I'm making is that it is mandatory for them to pass through this stage for them to be able to survive. For instance, the Ostrus ovis, the adult fly, we have to flick it into the nostrils of the sheep or goat and goat before they can continue the life cycle. If not, it is the end of it. Some in the process, maybe I will leave the details when we come to individual. But the point is that it is a mandatory part they must go through. Unlike the facultative myiasis or parasite, in this case, the larvae are naturally attacking carcasses or carrion feeders, but under certain conditions, may temporarily infect living foods like Lucilia, Phomia regina, califora, even Musca domestica. Musca domestica can also do it. What we're saying in essence is that without them passing through this host, they can still continue with their life cycle because they can use the carcasses and because they are carrion feeder naturally, so they can survive there. You can see the difference between the obligatory and the facultative that we are talking about. So that's the basic difference. So these are the two groups that we normally want to dwell on, not really on the site. Some people group it based on site, the ocular, the respiratory. That's not what we are discussing. But in this case, we settle more on obligatory and facultative myiasis. So there are some, based on some of the work we have done here and some of the experiences, we just base our decision on those that are that we have come across, that you are likely to be coming across regularly. So we just talk about a few of them, discuss about them. The first one we talk about is Ostrus ovis. Ostrus ovis is common. At least we have recorded so many cases around here. But we'll concentrate more on the larvae because it is the larvae that are of injurious to the animals or humans, as the case may be. For Ostrus ovis larvae, normally the adult, like I say, they are larviparous. What they do is to flick, or rather, I'll use the word squid. When you use the word squid, it's more of like pumping something out with a strong power, the jet form. You know, when the flies are hovering around, one, it appears even some of the animals are conversant with the buzzing sound that they make. So they squid this larvae. The target is the nostrils of sheep and goat, particularly sheep and goat. They have been reported in cattle and anything, but sheep and goat are they are their main targets I think Dr. Wolabi she did a good job. Her MSc work is on this ostrich ovis. She was able to consider three local governments around Zaria here, where she was able to, what she did was to collect the heads of these sheep and goats. She bought them all around, wherever they slaughter, she was buying them. And what she did was to slit these heads open and be able to see the presence of these larvae in the head, in the brain, and various parts of the animal, of the head of the animal. So, and in this process, she was able to see all the stages. Remember that it is the L1 that the adult fly squeeze into the nose ring. Of course, this larva will move on. They move on. At times they go towards the trachea. In fact, there was a case here during the PM here that all the larvae were seen in the trachea. Nothing was even seen in the brain. It means that they moved down into the trachea and settled down. All up to 20 larvae were seen in the trachea, but mostly they move up through the nasal cavity towards the brain. And we discovered that many of them lodge in various places, the sinuses, into the brain, even the base of the horn. They get onto the base of the horn in the ram or the male animal. So in her research work, she had beautiful pictures. After slitting them open, you see them, the different stages arranged. Really. What that suggests is that most of them, by the time they get to those portions, remember there must be molting from L1 to L2. Of course, after molting, what do you expect? There's growth. That is increase in size. Let me use the word increase in size. So when they move to L2, they grow bigger. They move to L3, they grow bigger. And once that happens, some of them, wherever they are lodged, they are not able to come out again. They are trapped there, so they die there. So you have so many of these ostrich ovis in the cavity in the head of the animal. And of course, you know that this provoke a lot of reactions, a lot of these sinusitis. You have a lot of nervous signs that the animal exhibit. In most cases, it's very difficult to diagnose these ostrich ovis cases. But there are instances where you may be lucky when you see the nose rings running. It's one of the things you first suspect. It's one of the things, but you may be lucky to see some not far. Those that don't go too deep, you may be able to see some around there. So that may give you a clue that this is what the animal may be suffering from. So it's easy. You may be lucky to diagnose it, but some of them, or most of them, is at PM, especially when the infestation is so high. The animal go into nervous sign, like I say, and of course, it can be confused. Some other cases, like the true grade, some people even confuse with listeriosis and others. So these are some of the differentials for the ostrich ovis that we have seen around here. Like I say, we have cases that we have reported. Let me see. This is just showing the ostrich ovis larva. You can see the mouth hooks, may not be very clear. Then you can see the spines. So in most cases, you have 2, 3 rows. In fact, the first row, the row that is closer to the head, you have around 2 rows. Others, you have the up to 3 rows. The ventral part, once you turn it, you can see the rows of spines. We also can use cerebral slit, but we don't want to go into that. The respiratory aspect, cerebral slit they use, but we don't go into that because you have to focus on that slit and see the shape of the slit. But in most cases, we just use the spines that are there. Yeah, so it's very, you don't confuse it with any other one once you see it. It's an example of ostrich ovis. The one that is so close to ostrich ovis is Cephalopina titillator. You see them on camels. The same way they flicked, the same way ostrich ovis adult flicked or squeezed this larvae into the nursery of sheep and goat, the same way this is done to camel. Their life cycle is similar. I think the last work I saw, since we don't have camel in Zaria here, we have not done it. But I've read one or two work that were done in Sokoto. Our very senior colleague, I saw Professor Ajogi name in that paper. He and another person, I don't know the same, but I remember I saw Professor Ajogi's name in that work that I've read of Cephalopina, that they did like a survey in camels. And I'm sure when I read this thing, it shows that what they also did was to buy the heads of camels where they are slaughtered. You know, there are places where they slaughter them. So what they do is to buy the head and also do the similar thing like I described that Dr. Olabi did. And when they slit them open, you also see various stages of this thing. I think since that work was done around 1992, I'm thinking there is a need for us to, maybe I would interact with our colleagues around Sokoto there, and I think they also slaughter and Kano. Let's see the update, because that was done 92. That's a very long time. That's the only work I've read around here. Cephalopina titillata. It's a very easy larva to identify. You can see the fleshy process. You can see it. You can see it's not spine this time around. You can see fleshy process that it shows. So diagnosis and see the mouth hook. We still have it in our lab. We have samples of cephalopina here, so you cannot miss it. It also cause, just like maybe I forgot to say, they cause a lot of pathology too in the nose tree. Sonatitis, the animal react, they call erosion of the nasal cavity and others, cause nervous sign also there. But in most cases, just like I've said, for the life cycle to be completed for both, the animal will have to sneeze out the L3. They have to sneeze the L3 out for them to pupate. Remember, pupation cannot take place in the animal. It has to take place on the ground. So they sneeze, they drop the larvae on the ground, and the molt, the pupate. I mean, the pupate and the adults, of course, will come out. So that is so you can't miss cephalopina. Like I told you, we don't have camels around here, so we have. I can tell you that the samples we have were brought from places because we don't have them over here. I say if we have people around Sokoto, do we have people around Sokoto here, or people who have had experience of working with of seeing cephalopina? Do we have someone who has worked around there? Maybe. I don't know. It's possible to have colleagues who have done that.
Yes, yes, sir. I have seen cephalopina in Meduguri.
Okay, good. Good.
Yes,
good.
Sir.
Oh, good. That's interesting. Oh,
Yes,
do they slaughter camels there?
Yes, sir.
In Meduguri?
Yes, sir. Meduguri very well, sir.
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. But I'm surprised. My good friend, I've not published on it because Professor, I've forgotten his name now. In parasitology, he has done a lot of work in various areas. I'm surprised. I've not read his publication on that area. What's my friend's name in parasitology? I've forgotten the name. I remember before with this. I expect that you will have read his work there, but I've not seen any work there. Anyway, thank you for that information. I'll try and see whether I can get my hand on some of the work in Maiduguri there. The next one we're going to be seeing is Gasterophilus. It's another interesting fly, but this time around they drop their eggs. They are not laviparous. They drop eggs. But interesting thing is that depending on the species of Gasterophilus that we're talking about, they have different ways or different places where they drop their eggs. Some drop their eggs on the legs of the animal, some close to the mouth. So various places that we have discovered whether intestinalis, hemorrhoidalis, nasalis, pecorum, inamis, and others. There are so many species here that we are addressing. And I think the ones we have, the one that have I know that have been recorded here are the hemorrhoidalis and pecorum that we have seen, but all have been seen around here. The larva or the larvae here are barrel shaped. Remember, we are talking of this one, seeing the spine, the ostrus ovis, the ventral side. But this one, it is barrel plate, it's barrel shaped, it's round. You see the spines all round. The larva bear 2 rows of black backwardly pointed spine, completely encircling the segment of the larva or the larvae. You can see example. It goes round. It circles it round. You can see black. You can see the mouth hook, and you can see it pointing backward. You can see. So what happens that once the eggs hatch and the larvae come out, they get into the buccal cavity. And once they get into the buccal cavity, some of these larvae, they spend some time in the buccal cavity, they penetrate the buccal cavity. Some people believe that they can even stay there up to 2 weeks, up to 3 weeks, up to 4 weeks before they move to that's the L1, before they now go down to the GIT, deep in the GIT. And when they do that, they attach to various places, depending on the species, just like we have mentioned earlier. Hemorrhoidalis and others attach close down the GIT, while some are various places, and they stay there up to the time they are fully mature, that we have mature L3. And it is from this place that they cause a lot of harm to the animal. But unfortunately, in most cases, it's difficult to diagnose a case of Gasterophilus. Most of the cases that I have seen, it at PM. Most of the cases, I don't know, except somebody have seen them. The cases I have seen diagnosed, they are all at PM. So they are not quite easy to diagnose at this, because the signs they may see may not necessarily be specific or pathognomonic for this larvae. So it's quite difficult for diagnosing it. And we have seen cases where at the point of the anus there, many of the larvae just attach there, thereby causing a lot of blockage there. And at times, you see that I think I've seen the case, not here in Zaria, somebody showed us the case that he saw where the anus protruded out, and you can see the larvae attached to them. So many in their number, so many number attached there. So you can have such cases. And in such cases, maybe you can be able to diagnose in live animal. But apart from that, it's mostly at PM that we see them. Another interesting one we'll talk about is Codylobia. Codylobia antropophaga is a very common myiasis that have been recorded, especially both in human and animal, especially in dogs. I have seen a dog that they almost 50 of the larvae were removed from the body of the animal, from the tissue of the animal, general tissue. It's quite common, and perhaps why it is common is that it takes advantage of where the adult fly drops the eggs. Normally, in fact, we reported it here. There was a case that was reported in the teaching hospital here of this Codylobia in the scalp of a 9-month-old baby. The teaching hospital here, it was brought by some Fulani people who were from the village. They brought the case, so the larvae were removed and brought to our lab. Normally for Codylobia, the adult fly drop the eggs, or it is attracted by the odor of urine. So anywhere it flies to, it locates where there's odor of urine and drops the egg. Where there's odor of urine and drop the egg, that's what they do. And this egg, of course, will eventually hatch. And the L1, of course, would stay there. And interestingly, that this L1 is able to survive in the environment, even without feeding for up to 10, 15 days. And that suggests why they are able to get host to attach. It means if they don't get host today, by next day they will get a host, or up to the 10, 12 days for them to get a host to attach to. And that's why dogs around, you see them with the various stages. But once they attach, the L1 will be there. There's obtained tissue, mold to L2 there. Upon once the L2, they are bigger, and the wound will be bigger. Move from L2 to L3, all the body of the host. You can imagine the kind of ball-like wound that you see. In most cases, people express it to bring out the larva or the larvae, depending on how many that you find. I think a case was reported, apart from that one that we saw. Another one was reported on the lawn tennis court in Zaria here. In fact, for that case I mentioned for the baby, because the people wanted to really know what was the case, what we advised, what we told them was that since the Fulanis were from the village, what we said was that fine. It meant that the towel was a baby was given birth. I mean, was they gave birth to the baby, and after giving the baby the birth, what they did was to just use the towel to wrap the baby, clean the baby, and wrap the baby. It was possible that the baby urinated on the towel, and without washing the towel properly, I'm sure they just took the towel and went to dry the towel outside. And what that suggests is that the fly went flying around. It's very sensitive to the odor of urine. They just drop their eggs, drop their eggs, drop their eggs on the towel. So, and of course they will bring the towel back in after bathing the animal. Bathing the baby. They cover the baby again with the same towel. Eventually, as long as those eggs are not dislodged, they will hatch. They will hatch. And remember that once you taking your bath, one of the first days you rub this thing again is the head. So it is likely, because we were not there, but based on what we saw, the most reasonable explanation is that they rub the towel on the head of the animal, of the baby, and of course they attached there and penetrated, because they had to press the head of it to remove those larvae. So we have seen them in such. But the ones that most people have reported are the ones that are when things are better now. But in those days when napkins are used, this napkin that people use around the baby to wrap the baby, the napkin, definitely the baby will urinate on the napkin. And if not properly washed or disinfected, likely, of course, they will go and spread them outside. And once you spread them outside too, just like we have described for the towel, you bring it back and wrap it on the baby. And of course, the painful aspect is that you come back, attach it to the baby, the larva will be hatched and penetrate this baby. The baby will be crying. In fact, at times people don't even know, except you see boy like, you just see like boy like something, then you express, you see the larva coming out. So that one has been reported severally. But thank God for the disposable pampers that people use now. So that has reduced drastically the cases of codilobia in babies, because it was a serious case. I read the work somebody did on that. Babies, they saw so many cases in babies. Perhaps why I'm bringing this, because these are cases you are likely to see. It's important for us to mention some that we have It's possible some of you might have seen so many experiences, but I'm just mentioning some that we have around here. And the one that I told you that the longitudinal course was around the shoulder of the person, the human now, an adult now, around the shoulder. They saw something like a ball, and by the time they expressed it, what they saw was the larva, of course, of Codilobia. The explanation we had was that perhaps around the lawn tennis place there, people urinate there. Some even bring their dogs there that urinate. And people, before going to the games, what they do is that they remove their vest and put it down. Of course, if the larvae have hatched, they just quickly attach to the toe dress and you just wear it back. And it happens that the thing was on the around the shoulder here. That was the point in which it attached. So it was expressed out. So that has been reported in Zaria here of Podilobia. So it is of zoonotic importance. Though dog is the primary host that it attaches to, from what I said, human can easily have a case of. I don't know whether some of us have experienced case of Podilobia in various places. Can you share with us if there are people who have seen such cases in various? Can we have idea if there are people?
I have seen 2 cases in humans.
Okay. In adults or in children?
One was in a baby, not so much a baby, a toddler, and one was like a teenager.
Okay.
A teenager was in the second group, and then the toddler, and a toddler too.
So I can see that these cases are very, they are very common. In fact, they are common. Yeah, they are common. And I think Dr. Ogo has mentioned something. I've read, that's one work he did. I think he has recorded one. I've read this, but I didn't read detail. But I think I've read something that he reported to Jos. Maybe I'll also check that literature. He has also reported something like that in Jos. Of course, we know that it's easy for us to identify this, and you just see it's so easy. They densely cover backward spines. They are so tiny, you just see as if it's needle. So tiny, you see the needle. You see. Except you show this, we focus it very well. Those points you are seeing, they are spines. So that's what you're seeing. They are tiny spines. Also backward. There's so many of them that encircles the segments of the larvae. There's so many of them. You see that. So it's very easy. Once you focus, you just see like dot. But when you focus very well, you see that those are tiny spines. Very tiny, needle-like, pointing back. And you can imagine the kind of problem that can cause. The pain as they move, because they move, as they penetrate, they move in between, they move in, they move around. And once they move, they cause a lot of pain, in the tissue of the this, and that's why the babies cry. Do you have any other person who have experienced any?
So, sorry, sir. I wanted to ask, do you also see them in cats?
Pardon?
Sir, do you also see them in cats? Sir, do you also see them in cats? Podilobia.
Well, I have not seen a case reported in cat. It is possible. It is possible, but it is very possible. I have not seen a case that has been reported in cat, but it's highly possible. It is very, very possible.
Okay, sir.
If you can have it in human. The question I even asked, the case that you have in adult, is that I asked myself, how is it possible for this larva to penetrate the human? Even when you wear the shirt, how come it penetrated and the person was not feeling the pain? These are questions I asked. But the truth was that they actually saw them there, they penetrated the human. I don't know, but we have seen such cases. So it is very possible, even in cat too. But that would be terrible if it's in cat. I've seen maybe I should have brought the video of the one with one dog. It was a bad case. Because I don't know whether it's the housing there where the dog was kept, because there were so many, over 50, that were expressed out. from the dog. There were so many of them. So I don't know. It is possible that we have in cats too. Although many even discourage people from expressing this larvae out. There are so many school of thought for this, and we may not go into that. But I'm just mentioning this so that we don't just talk about the identification alone. As if we say anyone wants to talk.
No, sir. I'm not trying to talk, sir. I'm just listening, sir.
Even though I'm not hearing again, it's because of the rain here.
Yeah. Okay.
I think these are the ones we'll consider today. We just pick a few for the cases of the Musca own and others. Yeah, things that you see every day. I don't even consider that so. Listen, we have seen so many cases, especially in animals and others. Even like Perusia, at times can cause case of myiasis. When like Perusia, like I say, they are around the wound, they're around the base of the horn. You see them following the animal, laparosia or hematobia, whichever one you call it, around the base of the horn, they move around. But there are cases where there are injuries around the horn. Normally, they dart down to drop their eggs in the fresh feces. But there are instances where you see that they are dropping their eggs around the wounds there, around the horn of the animal. So that is also myiasis. That is also myiasis. But you remember that in this case, to be facultative because that is not their primary site. But we have seen cases where Laperosia flies drop their eggs on the base of the horn. You just drop them there and they begin to develop there. To L1, L2, the L3 will definitely come out to pupate on the ground before the hard of. So we have seen so many. So for facultative, we have so many. That of Musca in the wound, if you leave a wound that is not properly dressed, you see them dropping the larvae there, and they beginning to continue to with their life cycle. So there are so many cases of this. I don't want to mention facultative because this is not the normal route. It's just that they're taking advantage of opportunity given to them. So that one, I'm sure maybe we can continue to list them, but I'm just mentioning a few cases of this one that we have mentioned. Except you have any other question, we'll stop here today because I don't want to enter the new topic in this today. So we'll be talking of the lice and fleas. We're considering lice and fleas. Dr. Bilkisu, maybe you remind me so that I just give you the. But I was told that it's recorded here. Sir. Can you copy it from there?
From here?
Hello?
Sir?
Yeah, that was somebody gave impression that it's being recorded there.
Yes, we can see it's being recorded. I don't think we have access to the records. They'll have to give it to us.
Okay, no problem. Just once you're around, you just bring your this and copy it. That's all.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So we just leave it for today and we're thinking of lice and mites next week.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you very much. I can see that we're greater. Sorry for this thing. I still have problem with joining this. Thank God that you quickly something just occurred to me. I said, let me call. Maybe I thought I was nobody. I was wondering why nobody was in class. I didn't know that I was somewhere else. So thank you. I can see okay, Sarah and others.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you,
Just
sir.
like I said, remind me also to. I'm sure you have Professor Adejimi's number.
No, sir, I don't, sir.
Okay, I will say his number to you so that he can forward. You can communicate with him so that he will forward his this to him. I don't think he will have the time to come to class again since he has done his portion.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
So thank you very much. We'll leave it here today.
Thank you, Prof.
Except you have anything to say. Okay.
Thank you very much, Prof. Though I wanted to use this medium with my fellow concerning the timetables. Sorry, Prof. I said I want to use this medium to share this idea with my colleagues. regarding the timetable, whether it will be shared in the WhatsApp group so that all of us can always be on the same page. Because like some of us that joined, we have not getting the correct timetable, and it was not easy for us before we even get the connection.
Why? I thought it's constant. The time for these lectures are constant.
Yes, sir. And it was shared in the WhatsApp group.
So I think they are constant. For instance,
maybe you missed the message, but they've been sharing it continuously. The timetable, maybe we can share it.
What I'm saying, yes, I have, because we just recently, just yesterday, I just started attending lectures today. This is my first time. That's why I'm raising this.
Is it that you are not aware or what?
Yes, sir. Initially,
maybe for those who have been attending, maybe you share the listen again for them in your group.
Thank you.
So that for those who don't have, may have them.
Yes,
can somebody reshare the thing that you shared before?
Yes, sir. No problem, sir. We'll reshare.
Please, if you can reshare it, maybe because if you are not in the group before that time, you will not see the previous things that were shared. So I think that's the problem.
Yes, sir.
So please, let's reshare it for them so that they can know the time for the lecture.
Okay, sir. No problem, sir.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof.
Okay, so.
Oh, the lecture was nice. Enjoyed the lecture.